Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shah, Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Kuhak Kadash. All praises, honor, glory, love, respect, faith, and power, and trust, and all credit to my Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and my Heavenly Big Brother, Yahweh Shah. Thank you so much for what you're doing, and what you're going to do. Double honors to the apostles and elders and bishops of GMS, Great Millstone, who I learned from, and all the men scattered all over the world, teaching this truth and none but the truth in the name, spirit, and the power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah. Trying to put a spiritual bug in your Hebrew Israelites' ears, your so-called blacks, Latinos, and Spanish, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, and your speckled birds. And what is a speckled bird? That'd be a Hebrew Israelite that look like some of the heathen nations, like, for example, a Hebrew Israelite that look like a so-called white person or so-called Chinese person, etc., etc. Got some videos lined up related to war and these nations, conflict with one another, and whatever. Stuff, that videos and news about war. I'm going to play these videos. I'm going to get into the scripture my best ability. Say whatever God say through spirit and power. Yahweh Bashim Shah, the Holy Spirit, the Kurhak, Dash, Lord, want to be on me. Let's get it.
The Russia-Ukraine war, because that's another big war we've been following, of course. We haven't paid as much attention to it as recently because we've been focused on these other wars that have been going on. But many of us thought this war would be over by now. I mean, a long time ago, we thought this war would be over. And of course, Trump ran on, the minute I'm president, I'm going to end that war. It's going to be all over. But it's not over. It's not over. And what's really interesting to me is that I believed that Europe just followed along with whatever the United States said. And the United States was like wanting this war. And so it is what it is in Europe was because they're NATO and they, okay, United States provides us with weapons. I guess we have to go along with it. But what's been fascinating is, no, Europe is really warmongering against Russia on their own without the United States. Europe is warmongering against Russia. They don't need our help. They don't need our persuasion on this. What is it that is causing that? Because it sounds to me like Germany is on the brink of jumping full on in to war against Russia or something. I mean, which, would be history repeating itself. So you're living over there in Germany. Are you worried that Germany and Russia are going to go into another actual hot war with each other?
Well, that's why I do what I do, to make sure it doesn't happen. I have 3 young children, and they're going to reinstate a draft in Germany. And they're talking about quadrupling the size of the Bundeswehr, the German army. Even if they did that, it would not be able to stand up to Russia. What happened in Europe is that the European Union took away sovereign powers of the nation states of Europe, because they said the reason that there was Nazism was because of nationalism. It wasn't because of nationalism. It was actually because of corporatism. It was global corporate cartels working together. And the British wanted to use the Germans to smash the Soviets. So by putting a brake on nationalism and respect for the individual nations, and you talk about Italy. In Italy, there's a wonderful tradition, the Verdi music and the popular festivals, and in Germany you have great classical culture, Friedrich Schiller, Beethoven. Mm-hmm. You have all this, the idea of the national culture, which was a human culture, but it was by nation. They did away with that. They merged it all into a bureaucracy called the European Union, which is largely run by banks and insurance companies and corporate cartels. And then you have NATO. And the U.S. dictated the policy for NATO, and the British dictated the policy for the European Union. So these countries stopped thinking for themselves. And now they're almost on automatic pilot. You have political parties that are unpopular, that are voting huge budgets for wars with money they don't have. And they actually think they're going to fight a war with Russia. And if you look at the Ukraine situation, Ukraine is a sledgehammer that's being deployed against Russia. The idea was that after the fall of communism, the proposal was to integrate Russia into Europe. Russia considers itself a European nation. And instead, you had, in 1990, 91, 92, moves to extend NATO eastward. That was the original debate after the fall of the Soviet Union. And so what happened? Well, Ukraine was identified as the key region. If you wanted to have Europe against the Soviets or against Russia, you need Ukraine. But Ukraine is 1/3 Russian in terms of its ethnicity and its language, culture. So you have a coup in 2014, you launch a war, and you keep it going. And the idea is that this will weaken Russia, break apart Russia. And what's the goal in doing that? All the raw materials of Russia, which are needed by the rest of the world. And that's why you have BlackRock.
Why the fuck Germany going to war with Russia? That's fucking stupid. Ain't them niggas supposed to be getting like the gas from there, like oil from there? And anyway,
have Fink from BlackRock is in Ukraine. Merz, the Chancellor of Germany, was the head of BlackRock in Germany. Macron came from the Rothschild banking networks. So you have the old nobility, the old European oligarchy, controlling the nation states through the European Union. And that's where you see the biggest problem in Europe. And the United States used that for the war against Russia in Ukraine. And when Trump decided he wanted to stop that war, he couldn't do it. It was already too much on automatic pilot.
Well, it just seems like the Germans are on automatic pilot when it comes to fighting a war against Russia. I mean, here we go, potentially.
Spinning downward in the toilet.
Germans need to be reprogrammed. Thought that was attempted after World War II to reprogram them. But
well, the problem is the wrong people reprogrammed them. They were reprogrammed by the City of London.
And so they still want to just go at it with the Russians. Again, they want a World War III just to repeat. This time, the Germans think they can win this time. They can win this time.
That's what the doctrine of geopolitics, which was set up in 1904 by the Royal Society, Mackinder, was that you always have to have Germany and Russia fighting each other. If they're ever unified, then you have a Eurasian world. Well, that's what we're moving towards now.
And that's the name. That's the true name of it, Eurasia. And then Europe.
And that's not something that frightens me. That's something I actually would like to see. Have Europe become part of the Eurasian world.
Yeah. Or just the world. I mean, I would love the world. I love the differences. You know, I like countries to remain different. I want to.
Yeah, I like they all come together against America. The beast hating the whore. They team up with Russia. Because that's what it's coming down to. All these EU countries, some NATO, teaming up with Russia and taking out America. I love to see that, and it's going to happen.
To govern ourselves, but it would be really great if the world started working together in the same way that.
Yeah, the beast hating the whore.
At, like the European Union. I mean, you look at the example I gave earlier was Italy and how it was broken up into little tiny areas that then have eventually unified. They stopped warring with each other. They didn't need all those fortified walls. You look at European countries, they used to fight each other all the time, and now they're unified with the European Union. Whether somebody thinks that's a good idea or not, and eventually the world, I think, will unify. It is just a matter of time. And so I do think that the vision that you and your colleagues share at the LaRouche organization will eventually come to pass. I mean, people think, oh, you guys are crazy because you like peace. They think you're wacky. You're really wacky, Harley, because you like peace. And in the future, they're going to say, oh, no, the peacemakers knew what they were talking about. They were just evolved, and everybody else was still very much a caveman. It does seem like that's where we're at right now. But hopefully we can make some change. I know that...
Yeah, it ain't going to be no peace. It's going to be war, and there's going to be destruction. Then it will be peace when the Lord returns. And then the house of let's say the Lord's people, the Israelites, be fully established as a nation and conquering the world, and then there'll be peace. Let me get to the next video.
The end of a perfect day starts with Naomi Pinot Noir, effortlessly smooth.
We have the Straits of Hormuz closed again, and people should prepare for blowback. They should prepare for what's coming ahead. You had Trump himself on video just last week saying we're 4 weeks away from disaster, that our reserves have been reduced to almost nothing. Pinning all hopes on this meeting that's supposed to be going down today. And of course, Israel will not stop bombing Lebanon. You can see the images on the left. There is a fierce battle going back and forth between Hezbollah and Israel. And Iran is saying unless that stops, there is no MOU, there is no peace deal, there is no anything. They also say that the West is just constantly lying, that they've had no intentions of doing anything, although they will go meet or send a representative to meet Witkoff. We doubt that's going to fix anything here. They can't even handle what's going on with Hormuz, let alone anything to do with the nuclear stuff. This is going to be one of the most embarrassing things for Trump ever. He can either pull out of this whole thing, back out of it, and continue to try to work out a deal, or he's going to return to dropping bombs. And if they do so, it's not going to be light. It's not going to be tit for tat. It's going to be hardcore. I'm going to say bigger than what we've even seen thus far. They've talked about taking Kark Island, troops on the ground, everything. And it's all on the table. But I'm going to say this. The supplies are not coming. The oil, gas, fuel, textiles, plastics, all the things.
Yeah, they saying about July. You're going to start seeing big changes.
Things that have been bottled up and just froze are not coming. The markets and everyone was hoping that everything would get back online, but that's not the case. Come Monday morning, oh boy, well, we'll see where we're at in terms of
oh boy,
war and all that, but the markets keep going back and forth, getting jerked up and down. And the reality is, you got to expect this from here, that they're going to keep trying to do this. Say they got a deal coming and there's no deal coming. So I would prepare. This means that there's going to be an influx in terms of the price of things and things that you just can't get here in the next month or so. I would prepare and get ready here. So,
Yeah, prepare number one. We're getting right with the Lord. Repent. But nothing wrong with getting some extra stuff just in case. Or something. I don't know.
Now, the waters of the Philippines are turning into one of the region's busiest military training grounds. More than 2,000 troops from the Philippines, the United States, Japan and South Korea are taking part in Exercise Kamandag 10 as the Indo-Pacific allies deepen military cooperation. Take a look.
this is Dabu 7, and you were looking at massive explosions from Russia rocking Ukraine. They have targeted Zelensky's regime positions, and Russian Su-34 jets have started to pound all those areas. As you can see here, they say Fab 500, 100, and 1500 bombs used. They state that they have hit a UAV command post and a temporary deployment area of the 81st Separate Air Mobile Brigade. So they're hitting prime targets. Some reports have said that Zelensky is on the run. Some have said that they hit him. But until there's confirmation of a body, you're not going to see that in the headlines. Remember, Zelensky has a ton of body doubles out there, but he's on the run. They are actively hunting him, trying to...
That nigga probably ain't nowhere near that area. Yeah, nigga probably somewhere in Hawaii. Shit.
take him out. Russia
Doing cocaine.
just says they are abandoning rules of war. Putin's deputy raising nuclear strike fears. Again, they're saying that they're going to respond however they want. So if it's tactical nukes, hypersonic missiles, anything like that, it all goes at this point. They're saying there's no rules to be followed. So they seem to be headhunting Zelensky. I expect something huge to come out of this area rather soon. I'm talking Zelensky's back into a corner. Either they get him and they end this thing, or they hit Moscow with something bigger than we've ever seen yet, and it could be nuclear, because they just don't seem to care. I'll leave a link. Join me for the live streams Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern.
It's penalties, and you're cooking a chili.
Switzerland, right now. The U.S. Vice President is sitting across the table from Iran's top diplomats. And before a single deal is signed, Iran's president just dropped a bombshell back home. He says Washington has already lost this round. All provisions of the memorandum are in our favor. That's not a guess. That's what President Masoud Pezeshkian told Iranian state media hours before his delegation walked into the room with J.D. Vance. Here's the backdrop. After a brutal war, Iran and the U.S. are now locked in high-stakes talks in Switzerland, mediated by Pakistan and Qatar. Leading Iran's side, Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf and Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. Their stated goal, making sure the interim deal that ended the fighting actually gets honored. But it's what Pezeshkian said before the talks that's turning heads. He's claiming a major reversal. According to Pezeshkian, things Trump publicly ruled out for Iran in a recent speech have now quietly become accepted Iranian rights, under the table, in the negotiating room. And at the center of it all, enrichment. Pezeshkian is signaling Iran will not surrender its right to enrich uranium. His framing is sharp. He says Iran's real red line was never enrichment itself. It was always the bomb. He even evokes Iran's late supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, who repeatedly said Iran does not want a nuclear weapon. Pezeshkian's message, that was always the line, and that's the only line America actually got Iran to agree to in writing. In his words, America said, write this down and sign, and we signed. Enrichment, in his telling, was never on the table to lose. There's a financial win attached too. Pezeshkian says $6 billion of Iranian funds, frozen and sitting in Qatar, will be released as part of this deal. And he didn't resist a political jab either, predicting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be the first to be unhappy with whatever comes from Switzerland. But here's the tension underneath it all. Iran says it's shut the Strait of Hormuz again, citing Israeli strikes in Lebanon. The U.S. military says the waterway is still open. Two very different stories, same 24 hours. So is this confidence, or is Tehran negotiating in public before the ink is even dry?
Great products start with listening to real people.
A new poll suggests a majority of Israelis believe Iran has come out stronger after the West Asia war and its deal with the United States. According to a recently released survey, many Israelis feel Iran has in fact benefited from the conflict and the agreement that followed. The poll, based on responses from over 3,600 people between June 17th and June 20th, highlights strong public concerns over the outcome of the war. The findings show many Israelis believe the deal has strengthened Iran's position in the region. Of those surveyed, 92.1% say Iran had won or gained more from the conflict, while 82.9% felt that Israel's long-term security had been weakened. The survey also found even among voters who support the right-wing bloc, the electoral base of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, 93.1% believed Iran had won. When it comes to the US-Iran deal, majority of Israelis voiced their opposition. 63.2% of respondents are against it, and just 12.1% are in favor. The poll also reveals deep skepticism towards Israel's leadership. Nearly 3/4 of respondents said they did not believe Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's claims about the success of the military campaign. More than half of those surveyed rated his handling of the conflict as poor or failure. However, it's a different picture when it came to Israeli offensive.
Even though they losing their war, shit. Well, I'm talking about the small hats losing their war. They still gonna war. Cause the Lord gonna make them. But then also Benjamin Netanyahu, that nigga here, what is he? He gotta keep fighting. Cause what does they say about he got a warrant for his arrest for? But I'm just like, who the fuck gonna arrest him? The earth is given to the hands of the wicked. Come on, man. Fuck that. Anyway, talking about the world court, they got a bounty for him. But I'm like, why don't you just get the nigga? I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I don't believe all this shit. Hell. Anyway.
Against Hezbollah in Lebanon.
I don't know. All I can tell you, man, the war must go on.
48.2% backed renewed major military action against Hezbollah in Lebanon, even if it risked U.S. confrontation, while only 21% opposed such a move. India's naval power just got a major boost. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has commissioned 3 indigenously built warships in Kolkata, marking another milestone in India's push for defense self-reliance. From a stealth frigate armed with BrahMos missiles to an anti-submarine hunter and high-tech survey vessel, these ships are designed to strengthen India's presence across the seas. 3 ships and 1 message. India is ready to sail into the future of its own strength. The Prime Minister commissioned these vessels at Kolkata's Syama Prasad Mukherjee port, showcasing India's growing maritime muscle and defense manufacturing capabilities. The vessels INS Dunagiri and INS Sanchodak and INS Agre are all designed and built in India. Together, the 3 ships represent a powerful combination of combat strength, maritime awareness, and coastal security. At a time when the Indian Ocean is becoming increasingly strategic, these platforms are expected to play a key role in safeguarding India's maritime interests. The Prime Minister says the ships are proof that India no longer wants to remain merely a buyer in the global defense market.
ये तीनों पोत भारत के 3 महत्वपूर्ण संकल्पों के भी प्रतीक हैं। इनका निर्माण भारत में हुआ है, इनकी डिजाइन भारत में तैयार हुई है, इनके निर्माण में भारतीय उद्योगों की प्रतिभा लगी है, भारतीय इंजीनियरों का कौशल लगा है, भारतीय श्रमिकों का परिश्रम लगा है, और यही नए भारत की सबसे बड़ी ताकत है। साथियों, आज भारत रक्षा क्षेत्र में केवल खरीदार बनकर नहीं रहना चाहता। हमारी सैन्य शक्ति दुनिया के लिए बाजार नहीं बन सकती।
Leading the fleet is INS Dunagiri, a stealth frigate packed with advanced weapons and sensors. The vessel is armed with BrahMos missiles and modern air defense systems. It massively boasts the Navy's combat capabilities. INS Sancho Dhak is India's latest survey vessel, designed to map the oceans and collect crucial hydrographic data. Equipped with autonomous underwater vehicles, it strengthens maritime domain awareness. Completing the trio is INS Agri, built to detect and neutralize underwater threats in shallow waters. Its advanced sonar systems and torpedoes make it a key asset against enemy submarines. For India, these are not just new ships joining the fleet. They are symbols of a nation determined to design, build, and defend on its own terms.
Should that light be on?
Great.
Welcome to the WION podcast, where we explore fascinating stories and ideas from various fields. In this episode, we explore why the US military repeatedly postponed the retirement of the B-52 bomber, allowing a Cold War aircraft to remain in service far...
And you know, back to that B-52 that blew up, where the hell did they stopped talking about it so fast? And be like, where the wreckage at? I just want to bring that up. But anyway.
Longer than anyone expected. The story of the B-52 shows that longevity in military aviation often depends on flexibility as much as innovation. While its intended replacement suffered from intense structural fatigue, the Boeing B-52 Stratofortress was heavily overbuilt for its original nuclear mission. Despite being designed in the 1950s, the B-52's simple, robust airframe has accumulated far fewer flight hours relative to its absolute structural limits. Newer strategic bombers rely on highly sensitive radar-absorbent skins and complex variable geometry wings, making them incredibly expensive to maintain. Operating the conventional B-52 is vastly cheaper per flight hour than flying either the B-1 Lancer or the multi-billion-dollar B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. As modern air defenses became lethal, the B-52 stopped flying low-level penetration missions and adapted into an airborne missile truck. With its enormous internal volume and external pylons, it simply loiters in safe airspace and launches next-generation standoff weapons from hundreds of miles away. The Rockwell B-1 Lancer was specifically designed to replace the B-52, but 2 decades of hard, low-level flying in the Middle East severely wore out its airframes. Some of these younger B-1 bombers require between $10 million and $30 million each just to remain flight-worthy. The Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit is also slated for retirement before the B-52 due to the astronomical costs of sustaining its bleeding-edge technology. With a tiny fleet of just 19 active aircraft, supply chains dried up, forcing mechanics to cannibalize older planes to keep the fleet flying. Instead of retiring the B-52, the US military is pairing it with the upcoming B-21 Raider stealth bomber in a new hammer and anvil strategy. The stealthy B-21 will act as the hammer, penetrating enemy airspace, while the B-52 provides massive sustained standoff firepower from the periphery. Through a massive $48.6 billion modernization program that includes new Rolls-Royce engines, the redesignated B-52J is receiving a new lease on life. This comprehensive overhaul ensures the iconic aircraft will outlive its replacements and achieve an unprecedented 100 years of active service. Thanks for tuning into this incredible story. Welcome to the WION podcast. In this episode, we uncover China's extraordinary claims of underwater espionage, exploring allegations that sensor-equipped marine creatures and hidden devices are being used to gather secrets beneath the waves. Chinese authorities are warning of increasingly unconventional methods of maritime surveillance. In a social media post titled, "Under the Deep Blue, Undercurrents Are Surging," the Ministry of State Security revealed that international spies are deploying advanced espionage equipment to steal sensitive ocean data. According to a section of the post titled, "Spy Turtles, Spy Fish," relatively large marine animals fitted with sensors were found operating in specific Chinese waters. These creatures collect environmental data, such as salinity, water temperature, and ocean currents, before transmitting the information overseas via satellite. Relatively large marine animals with sensors attached have been discovered in certain waters of China, the ministry said, as quoted by news agency AFP, in a section titled, spy turtles, spy fish. The clandestine creatures were found swimming in a specific area, collecting sensitive data about the marine environment such as water temperature, salinity, and ocean current, transmitting it overseas via satellite, it said. The ministry noted that foreign groups are also utilizing solar-powered wavegliders, buoys with high-precision sensors, and tracking devices on cargo ships to monitor real-time port dynamics. While no specific foreign agency was named, the ministry explained that this data is intended to construct underwater maps. These maps could identify vulnerabilities in China's coastal defenses, creating a severe threat to national security. Consequently, the ministry urged strict security checks on foreign equipment and called on local fishers to report any suspicious buoys or maritime devices. This warning comes amid long-standing espionage accusations traded between Beijing and Western governments. Last year, Chinese authorities advised government employees to watch out for honey trap operations, citing a case where a foreign agent targeted a public servant. Meanwhile, the Western security alliance known as the Five Eyes reported this month that Chinese spies have been masquerading as online job recruiters to gather sensitive intelligence. Thanks for tuning into this incredible story. If this episode resonated with you, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe.
Alright, that's it, man. It's 4:41 on the clock. All praise Yahweh Shema Shah. The Wadi Yahweh Shema Shah. Just noticed when I'm done, I don't have a whole lot to read. It's just a quick update on what's going on when it comes to this war and these nations bumping heads with one another. Let me see. Damn, am I in the right place? I'll just read Isaiah. Oh my goodness, what am I doing, bro? Now I'm messing up. Isaiah chapter 9 verse 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. And like the old school way of fighting or going to war, it was like close up, hand-to-hand combat. Now the modern time is with a gun, a missile. And taking the fight from a safe distance. But I don't want to say safe because you still get popped. And then plus in modern days they use drones. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire, yeah. Missiles, damn near the planes, jets, tanks. Yeah, this is the new modern way of fighting a war. And I'm so tired of this shit. Let me get Joel chapter 3 verse 9. Proclaim ye among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat their plowshares into swords and their pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Yeah. All these nations, especially weak nations, saying they strong and they ready to go. Go take the battle to the big boys like America. Man, it's about to happen. And the only reason why the only reason why it's that way because the Lord is putting these heathen nations that were weak when it comes to military. The Lord's putting His Spirit on them and the know-how on what to do. And then plus have help. The Lord's providing help with these other nations. Not to really help them, but just to fucking destroy America. Help destroy America. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the Lord can do it Himself, but He want all these nations to destroy their own world. Yeah, you see how great Yahweh Shema Shah doing? Why do He need to do it Himself? Shoot. He gonna have these other nations do it to themselves. Yeah, and I love seeing it. Then these musty ass heathens destroy each other. Yep. But anyway, man, that's all I gotta say, man. War, I mean, it seems like it's moving slow, but it's moving somewhere when it comes to World War III. Yeah, but it's gonna get somewhere interesting. Oh yeah, man, especially when this shit start to affect you citizens, especially here in America. You proud motherfuckers need to feel some pain. Yeah, all these shortages start to build up. Oh man, that's why man, seek the Lord, man, seek the Lord for mercy and repent. Yep, seek Him by seeking His prophets and take heed what it say and try to build a spiritual mental relationship with Yahweh Shema Shah. By praying Yahweh Shema Shah, praising Yahweh Shema Shah, worship Yahweh Shema Shah, fearing Yahweh Shema Shah, and repenting to Yahweh Shema Shah. To all the men out there pushing this truth and nothing but the truth in the name, spirit, and the power of Yahweh Shema Shah. Keep on preaching, keep on teaching, keep your faith and trust strong. Yahweh Shema Shah, stay humble. And for you few sisters out there taking heed, keep your faith and trust strong. Yahweh Shema Shah. Stay humble, stay in order with your man. If you ain't got no man, stay in order. Yahweh Shema Shah. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, and all praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Shalom.